Hello, painting class. Okay, so for your final assignment for class, I'm going to give you a few options. There are three options listed here, but you could also come up with additional ideas that I'm not going to cover here today. So if you've got a better idea than this, just let me know. But basically, you can revisit a previous project and make a new version of that, or you can make a painting inspired by another artist, or you can make a painting inspired by music. The deadline for this project is going to be May 12th at 2. That's when we'll do our final critique. There'll be more information in the email I send you about this, about it being optional and so forth. So that'll actually be in the email though. So if you're going to revisit a previous project, so what you could do is just consider the idea that artists work in a series. So this is the work of Bryce Martin, and typically a show by a contemporary artist, you'll see variations on a theme, variations on an idea, and so you can consider working in that way. So if you like the geometry project we just did, you could do a variation on that. You could go back to your previous sketches and see if there's an idea you want to pursue further. Here's another Bryce Martin piece, just so you can see, how he works in a series. Um, Another artist, Caio Fonseca, is a really really good artist that I can show you how artists work in a series. Here's at work on one of his giant paintings. And usually in class, I show you guys a video of his work, but I can't find it online, so I can't really share that with you without being able to show you the thing in class. Again, apologies that we're not doing things in a real life classroom. Have much regrets about that, as we all do, I'm sure. It's a beautiful shot of his studio, and you can see this sort of style at work here and how he even explores this theme in sculpture. So this is a cast aluminum sculpture. So he just keeps kind of pushing the same ideas, the same formal ideas, in a variety of artwork. So you could consider doing that for your final project, is just doing another one based on a project we did previously in class. Another idea, you can make a painting inspired by another artist or an art style. So for example, you could choose the style of pointillism, made famous by Georges Seurat. So if you look at a painting like this, or if you've seen this in the Art Institute of Chicago, if you get up closer to it, you can see it's all made out of sort of small dots and dashes of paint. It's a really beautiful painting style. So you could take and use that idea to create your own work of art that's an abstraction. You could choose to do something like Picasso's Cubism, or you could start looking up, instead of these really famous artists that kind of everybody knows, you could look up, go online and go to some interesting websites like Painter's Table. It's a really good one. And dig around and see if you can find an artist you like. So here's just a good example. Amy Silman's a really good abstract painter that you can check out. We go to a website like Hyperallergic and check out some art there. That's where I learned about an artist named Brenda Goodman. Here's one of her paintings. Or just dig around the internet. You know how you go sort of down the rabbit hole looking up artists, and you find new artists you didn't hear of before, and or you're reading the article and it mentions an artist that this artist is influenced by, and then that gets you on to more and more stuff. So you can look at artists like Hamlet Dobbins. His work is really cool, and I think likely influenced by an artist like Thomas Noskowski, who's also a really great one to look at. So you could really look at a lot of an artist's work and see if there's something you can work at on your own. Bring your own sort of ideas and theme to it. Don't just copy someone else's work. But I think it's good to be inspired by other artists. Or, often I'll assign what I call the music project, and I'm just going to give you a kind of smaller, simplified version of this. I usually go into this one a bit more elaborately. And if you get into this project and want to do it, I can talk to you kind of on an individual basis through Zoom, and I can give you some of the more additional stuff that I talk about on this project. But I'll give you the smaller, condensed version here. First off, I think abstract painting, you can really see a lot in common with music, especially music without words, how music can have an emotional impact on you and create a sense of movement and energy when you listen to it. Abstract painting can do kind of the same thing. This is an artist named František Kupka, whose work I think is very musical. I mean, this just looks like a symphony of colors and movement and energy. I first saw his work in Paris at the Pompidou Center. These are some photos I actually took at the Pompidou Center, not the previous ones, not this one or the earlier ones, but this one here. And yeah, the Pompidou Center is just a really awesome contemporary art museum in Paris. And here's a few of the works that I saw there. But I've been assigning this music project for a long time. When I saw these paintings, I realized I really need to get some photos of this to show the class. Here's the gallery they were in. But yeah, they're big, explosive paintings, full of energy. Another artist that comes to mind is Kandinsky, and his work just has just this rhythmic, moving energy running through it. And so I think there's a lot in common with music here too. And if you read the writings of Kandinsky, he talks about how colors, like yellow is like the shrill sound of a flute. He sort of goes through the instruments in an orchestra and compares them to colors. And different shapes have kind of similar qualities too for him. And even this is a Kandinsky painting I photographed at the Phillips Museum in Washington, D.C. like 10, 15 years ago. But I was struck at how this looks like, musical notes on a music score. And so if you look at an up-close image of it, there's very beautiful shapes and colors. And you see how these are, for him, kind of almost like a stand-in for music. And this one is actually really meant to be read musically. So another big explosive Kandinsky painting. And there's a few more. And so just as you design your painting, think in terms of, again, of rhythm and movement and energy and shapes and colors, balance. Think of the design elements and principles that you know, and consider how you can make a work of art that really has a lot of energy and movement and texture. I really like the textural qualities of this. So again, that's what I've got for you. So for this final project, yeah, just let me know if you have any additional ideas beyond this, or if you need some help or advice on artists or techniques or anything like that. We can set up a Zoom appointment as usual. So anyway, see you later.